Welcome to Despicable Maine Deep Dive podcast. Today on the show, ChatGPT's response to how the United States empire of lies was built, how it operates, and how people have fought back.
And today we're really diving into that first part, aren't we? The how it was built piece, according to this particular ChatGPT analysis.
Exactly. We're looking at the foundations, the building blocks, as described in this response. It's not just a history lesson. It's about unpacking an alleged system.
Right, and the source material here is specifically ChatGPT's compilation or interpretation of historical events framed in this empire of lies context. So keep that frame in mind as we go.
Okay, let's jump in. So ChatGPT starts things off way back in the early 1900s, banking and corporate power.
Yeah, the idea presented is this consolidation of control. You've got names, everyone knows J.P. Morgan, the Rockefellers, even the Rothschilds mentioned.
And they supposedly got their hands on, well, pretty much everything, right? Industry, energy.
Media, politics, the whole shebang, according to this analysis.
And then the big one in 1913, the Federal Reserve. ChatGPT doesn't pull punches here, calls it a private banking cartel.
Not a government agency, which is how most people probably think of it. The analysis stresses that it controls the U.S. money supply, but it's, well, private.
It's kind of like imagine a public park, right? Looks open to everyone. But secretly, it's run by this exclusive neighborhood association, and they decide everything, and they're charging everyone a sneaky fee just to walk on the grass.
That's a good analogy for the perspective offered here. It highlights that tension between public function and private control, which is central to this part of the argument.
Okay, so you've got the money system potentially compromised early on. What's next in the build-out?
Next up, according to ChatGPT, is media control. This ramps up, say, 1920s through the 50s.
Ah, the narrative shaper. So powerful families again, like Hearst.
Hearst, yeah, and later figures like Murdoch are mentioned, monopolizing news outlets, getting a tighter grip on what people read and hear.
But then it gets even more direct, right? With the government or parts of it getting involved?
Well, yeah, the analysis points directly to the CIA in the 1950s, Operation Mockingbird.
Right, Mockingbird. The claim is the CIA was literally paying journalists.
Paying them to plant stories, yeah, to push specific narratives, control public perception right within the mainstream American media.
So it's like, imagine your favorite cooking show. Seems totally normal, right? But then you find out all the recipes, every single one, were secretly provided by one giant spice company pushing their own products. You wouldn't trust the recipes after that, would you?
Exactly. It raises serious questions about the source of information and potential hidden agendas. If true, that's the core idea being presented.
Okay, finance media. What's the third pillar in this construction project?
We move into the post-World War II era now, maybe 1940s through the 70s. This is termed deep state formation.
Deep state, so secret government agencies growing in power.
Precisely. The CIA comes up again, the NSA.
Right.
These agencies growing significantly, but crucially, without much public accountability. That's the argument.
And operating in the shadows allows them to do what exactly, according to this?
Well, the analysis claims they could initiate major conflicts based on lies, Vietnam aside, actions in Latin America.
All based on deception. And the media, presumably, plays along because of the earlier control.
That's the connection ChatGPT seems to draw. Media complicity, or at least a failure to effectively challenge the narratives provided by these unaccountable agencies.
So it's kind of like, you know, the neighborhood watch. Supposed to keep things safe. Imagine if they secretly started like small fires around the neighborhood just so they could rush in, put them out, and look like heroes, justifying their existence.
It's a provocative analogy, but it captures the essence of the claim. Powerful entities potentially creating crises to maintain or expand their own power, hidden from public view.
Man. Okay, so we've got money, media, secret agencies. Where does the regular political system fit in?
That comes next. The analysis jumps to the 80s through the 2000s, talking about a permanent political class.
The idea that the names change, but the game stays the same.
Sort of. It points to recurring family names. The Bushes, the Clintons, the McCains are mentioned, Obama's later.
And the point is, it doesn't matter who wins the election.
The argument presented is that, regardless of the election outcome, certain globalist policies just keep advancing.
Like what? What kind of policies?
Things like endless wars, open borders are mentioned, big tech surveillance. The idea is these agendas transcend specific administrations.
So it's like going to a school election. Everyone promises pizza for lunch, right? Candidate A, candidate B, candidate C. But no matter who wins, you keep getting the same lukewarm mystery casserole every single day. The menu never really changes.
That captures the frustration expressed in this viewpoint, a sense that electoral choice doesn't lead to fundamental policy shifts in certain key areas.
And this ties into things people have actually said, right? I'm thinking of that Hillary Clinton quote.
Ah, yes. The one from the leaked Wall Street speeches via WikiLeaks in 2016. You need both a public and a private position.
Yeah, that one. It kind of fits perfectly with this idea of a permanent class saying one thing, maybe doing another.
It certainly fuels that interpretation, the implication being a deliberate disconnect between public statements and private intentions or actions.
Okay, that brings us closer to the present. What's the final stage in building this empire of lies?
The final stage, according to ChatGPT's analysis, is total propaganda and censorship, basically from the 2010s onwards, now involving big tech.
Right. Google, Facebook, Twitter. Now they're the gatekeepers.
They're presented as the new filters of information, controlling what you see, what gets amplified, what gets suppressed.
And the fact checkers, they get called out too.
Yeah, the analysis portrays them not as neutral arbiters of truth, but as entities that essentially defend the regime or the established narrative.
So under this view, even the elections become just noise.
It's framed as a show, yeah, an illusion of choice, while the real decisions are supposedly made behind the scenes.
By who? Lobbyists.
Lobbyists, billionaires, those intelligence agencies we talked about.
Yeah.
The unelected players. That's the picture painted.
Wow. It's like, you ever play those choose your own adventure books or games? You feel like you're making all these choices, taking different paths. But then you realize no matter what buttons you press or pages you turn, every single path leads to the exact same ending, the same final boss.
That analogy really hits the core of this final point, a feeling of predetermined outcomes despite the appearance of choice and open information flow. It suggests the system itself directs things towards a specific end.
There are other quotes, too, aren't there, that seem to back up parts of this picture?
Well, the analysis might draw connections to various statements, like George Carlin's famous line,
"It's a big club and you ain't in it." Yeah, that speaks to the exclusion, the U.S. versus them, of the permanent class.
or David Rockefeller's quote from his memoirs in 2002. Pretty blunt.
What was that again?
Some even believe we are part of a secret cabal working against the best interests of the United States. If that's the charge, I stand guilty, and I am proud of it.
Wow. Okay. That's direct. Admitting to working against U.S. interests.
It's certainly interpreted that way within this framework,
Yeah.
as an admission of elite conspiracy.
And Nancy Pelosi? Something about narratives.
In 2020, yeah. We have a quiver of arrows in our toolbox. We control the narrative.
Control the narrative. Not find the truth, but control the perception. Fits the propaganda theme.
It underscores the importance placed on shaping how events are understood, which aligns with the media control and censorship points.
Kissinger had one too, right? About control.
Henry Kissinger, yeah, from the 70s. Control oil and you control nations, control food and you control the people.
Basic resources, control the essentials, control everything.
It points to a strategy focused on controlling fundamental levers of power over populations and states.
Even Obama had that quote about Biden, the leaked one.
Ah, the 2018 one. Don't underestimate Joe's ability to fuck things up.
Yeah. It kind of hints at maybe a disconnect between the public image and private assessments of capability, even within the club.
That's one interpretation. Or the anonymous DNC email leak from 2016.
Oh, the one about Bernie Sanders.
Bernie needs to be ground to a pulp, highlighting internal manipulations even within party politics.
So putting it all together, this ChatGPT analysis paints a pretty stark picture of how this alleged empire of lies was constructed step by step.
Yeah, the bottom line, based on this analysis, is that the system relies on a combination of factors: money, media manipulation, war and conflict, generating fear, and underlying corruption.
And figures like Hillary Clinton or any specific politician really are just expressions of this larger system.
They're presented as manifestations, yeah.
Yeah.
Symptoms or products of a much older, deeper structure, not the root cause themselves.
So according to ChatGPT, just being aware that this might be the structure, that this system might exist, that's important.
That seems to be the key takeaway presented, that understanding this framework, this potential hidden architecture of power and control, is the crucial first step for you, the listener.
Okay, quite a deep dive into that construction phase. Lots to think about there.
Definitely a complex and layered perspective offered by the analysis.
Thanks for tuning into the Despicable Maine Deep Dive podcast. Remember, the United States has been hijacked, so soon living in the United States will be theft of your life.